Bryce Young, Stroud, Anthony Richardson. All young players poised and ready to have impactful rookie seasons, but just which one of their respective teams has provided them with the best supporting cast that will allow them to be their best selves the soonest? Well, in this video, we're going to address just that. I will go position by position and let you know just which team is the best at running back, O-line, tight end, wide receiver, and we're going to get into all of the works right after this.
I'm from the foe. You dig?
Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button and please make sure you subscribe as I am on my road to 2K. Trying to make sure my channel is popping before the games get started next season. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the rest of the video. Now, the first unit that we are going to start with is the offensive line, the big hogs up front that will be protecting all three of these young quarterbacks. Now, in 2022, it is pretty obvious when looking at the numbers that I have displayed up on the screen that the most effective O-line among the three teams is clearly the Carolina Panthers. They allowed only 36 sacks in the league, which would have ranked them top 15. That is the top half of the league, which shows that you are among the best. Now, they were 10th in rushing. That's top 10 in the entire NFL. 16 rushing touchdowns, 119 rush first downs, and they were 13th in average yards per attempt with 4.6. Now, why is that so special? Well, the fact of the matter is the Carolina Panthers traded away what many believe to be the best offensive weapon in the entirety of the NFL in Week 5 to the San Francisco 49ers in Christian McCaffrey. And even though they traded away a young, dynamic, absolutely monstrous running back, they were still able to be top 10 in the entire NFL in terms of output at the end of the year, fielding a myriad of backs from Deontay Foreman to Chuba Hubbard to Raheem Blackshear and whoever else that we were able to hand the ball off to. There was no immediate or impactful fall off with the departure of Christian McCaffrey. So that immediately shows the impact of the offensive line as opposed to the guys running behind it. The offensive line was solid, and no matter who you lined up back there, they were able to be an effective running back. So that just speaks to just how effective the Carolina Panthers are now in terms of strengthening a strength. In this current 2023 draft, the Carolina Panthers went ahead and drafted an additional offensive guard to go ahead and supplement their already stout offensive line. And he is familiar, as he did play last year or a year or so ago, with our star left tackle Ike Ekwonu. Chandler Zavala played right beside him at North Carolina State. So now we've strengthened a strength that already included a top 10 rushing offensive line, a returning young star in Ike. We have Moton. We have a Super Bowl champion in Austin Corbett. We have a breakout player last year in Brady Christensen. So we are just continuing to strengthen the strength, and the Carolina Panthers clearly, in my opinion, have the best offensive line as a unit. Now, if you want to look at singular players, I will agree with anybody that says Laramie Tunsil and Quentin Nelson are the top two. If you take all of the offensive linemen on all three of these teams, the top two guys may be Quentin Nelson or Laramie Tunsil. But when you look at the units around them, neither one of those guys are singularly able to anchor an offensive line to be able to be this impactful. It takes a unit, and the Carolina Panthers clearly have the best unit with what they were able to do in 2022. So for that reason, I am choosing the Carolina Panthers to have the best offensive line, meaning that Bryce Young, the first overall pick, has the best O-line among the three teams. Now, let's move on to the running back position. Now, the first thing that I want to acknowledge first and foremost is Jonathan Taylor is clearly the best singular player in any running back room that we are going to mention, be it Carolina, Houston, or Indianapolis. There are very few players in the history of the world, the NFL, however you want to frame it, that could have done what Jonathan Taylor was able to do in 2021. But what we are looking at right now are 2022 stats. But first and foremost, before I get into anything, I want to acknowledge that, yes, Jonathan Taylor is the best running back, the best singular force at running back that we are going to be discussing in this video. But with that being said, I have to say Miles Sanders and what he was able to do for the Philadelphia Eagles has to be considered a close second. Now, Miles Sanders was able to lead all three of the players that you see on your screen right now in attempts, yards, touchdowns, first downs, yards per carry, and he was tied for the highest catch percentage. All of that being done while Miles Sanders was toting less than 50% of his team's total carries, as he did have to split carries with not only Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, the other guys in the running back room, but his quarterback Jalen Hurts had nearly 200 carries himself, and Miles Sanders was still able to put up nearly 1,300 yards, and that just shows that he himself is an absolute beast, man. Now, even with that being the case, Miles Sanders himself is not the reason why I am going to again choose the Carolina Panthers in this spot, as I have acknowledged that Jonathan Taylor is indeed the best singular force, the best player that we are discussing right now. When you look at the success of NFL teams in terms of getting to the playoffs, getting to the Super Bowl, there hasn't been a Super Bowl champion that has had a 1,000-yard rusher in quite some time. But what we are seeing is the emergence of these duo backfields and their ability to be effective without having to have a three-down guy, being able to throw multiple guys out there that have a myriad of skill sets just makes your offense that much more dangerous. With that being said, although Taylor is the best player, I believe the Carolina Panthers have the best running back room, not only for the reason of Miles Sanders with the addition of Chuba Hubbard, but what makes them the best unit is the move that the Carolina Panthers went out and made in the offseason, bringing over the best running back coach in the entire NFL and former NFL running back coach Deuce Staley, coming over from the Detroit Lions, who just over this past year turned a journeyman running back in Jamal Williams into a 1,000-yard running back that broke Barry Sanders' touchdown record, while having DeAndre Swift having over 800 all-purpose yards. Also, that just goes to show just how effective and impactful that Coach Deuce Staley has been. Now, as I mentioned, Miles Sanders was absolutely dominant last year with these stats that you see on the screen, but arguably his best season, or a better year than this previous 2022 season, would have been back in 2018 when he was a rookie, that being when Deuce Staley was still the running back coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, being a year after the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl with LeGarrette Blount going out there and getting nearly over 15 touchdowns, trading for Jay Ajayi mid-season, and just having a running game that was a beast there. You draft Miles Sanders, he comes in, has over 800 rushing yards, over 500 receiving yards, and what that just shows is how good Deuce Staley is. So with Miles Sanders already doing that, and Chuba Hubbard showing just how tough he is in the running back room, the addition, or just the summation of all three of those parts makes me choose the Carolina Panthers to be the best, to have the best running back room. And that means that Bryce Young, in terms of supporting cast, as of right now in the video, is 2 for 2 in terms of supporting cast. Now, if you yourself feel as though because Jonathan Taylor is so singularly dominant that you would choose Jonathan Taylor in this spot, I would not have too much of an argument for you. I can completely understand that perspective, but when I look at everything in its totality, what it takes to win, the impact of coaching, all of those things taken into account, I truly do believe that the Carolina Panthers are do have the best running back room. Now, to just speak on the Texans for a quick moment, Dameon Pierce had a very good rookie year, putting up almost 1,000 yards and missing, I believe, 3 or more games. But he is a rookie. There are a lot of rookies that there are a lot of guys that have flash years. Not only was he only a rookie, but he got injured as well, a season-ending injury where he's gonna have to come back and show that he is, still himself, that he can bounce back from that and get back to the level that he was at before he can improve. So he has to show it more than just 1 year. So as of right now, no diss to Dameon Pierce, but we just need to see more out of him right now so he is not in contention at the moment. Now, right now, let's move over to the tight end position, man. Now, the first thing I want to acknowledge is that two of the three of these tight ends that you see on your screen right now are on different teams than they were last year. Hayden Hurst is now a member of the Carolina Panthers, and Dalton Schultz is a Houston Texan. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out is I believe that Dalton Schultz is, in fact, the best tight end of the three that we see on the screen right now. Ever since he became a full-time starter in 2020, he has been more impactful than Hayden Hurst in just about every single way. And he was drafted in the same draft as Hayden Hurst, just like Mark Andrews and a number of other tight ends that just so happened to be better than the guy that was taken before all of them. I believe Dalton Schultz has shown over the last 3 years to be the better player, to be the more impactful player, with Hayden Hurst being on a team last year that featured a top 3 wide receiver, quarterback wide receiver duo in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, with having T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Mixon in the backfield. You would just think that with all of those other attention takers being on the field, that Hayden Hurst would be able to just, kill one-on-one plays pretty much the entire game. But for some reason, he wasn't able to do that. Now, I believe that he may continue to get better as he did, make it to the playoffs. He was impactful in the playoffs last year, just like Dalton Schultz was. But up until this point in his career, every single team that has decided to sign him has also decided that they could find better elsewhere, be it with the Baltimore Ravens replacing him with the guy that they drafted 2 rounds later, and Mark Andrews in the same draft. Then you have the Atlanta Falcons going out and getting Kyle Pitts. Then you have the Cincinnati Bengals electing not to re-sign him, and now he's here. So that's 4 teams in 5 seasons. Now, although I do like Hayden Hurst and I love what he brings to the table, especially for a rookie QB, among the 3 guys that we are discussing right now, Dalton Schultz and what he was able to do for the Dallas Cowboys consistently over the last 3 years is why I'm electing to choose him as the best of the 3 potential choices right now. So that means that the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud do have the best tight end group among the 3 teams that we are currently discussing. Now, finally, we are going to move on to, I'm pretty sure the guys that a lot of y'all clicked on this video wanted to talk about anyway, be it the wide receivers. Now, the numbers that you were seeing right now are the amalgamation of the top 3 receivers on each team, be it whether they are returning players or players that have signed in the offseason. The top 3 players on the depth chart, these are the stats that you are seeing of them right now. Now, similar to how I had to just immediately and openly admit when we were discussing the running back position, I will have to admit that when we are talking about wide receivers, the Indianapolis Colts do have the singularly best wide receiver among all 3 teams in Michael Pittman Jr., and there could potentially be an argument made to say that Paris Campbell is the second best wide receiver, depending on who you ask. So when you look at the numbers on paper, yes, the Carolina Panthers team or their top 3 guys were most productive last year. That doesn't actually equate to their ability and their output, as in actuality, this is more so 2 guys versus 3, as they did field a rookie on the for the Indianapolis Colts and Alec Pierce last year, and he himself had over 500 yards. Now the Carolina Panthers, like I said, are better on paper, but what they are somewhat banking on this year is immediate production from Jonathan Mingo, their second round wide receiver that they went out and got this year in the 2023 draft, and hoping that he can hit and be impactful as a rookie, as well as having a breakout season from third-year wide receiver Terrace Marshall. Now, the thing about that is Indianapolis already has arguably the top 2 guys, and they went out and drafted a guy in the second round in Josh Downs as well. So as much as a Panthers fan as I could look forward to Jonathan Mingo improving our wide receiver room, the Indianapolis Colts clearly already have the best room, and they added a second round receiver to go for their young quarterback in Anthony Richardson. So at this moment in time, I am going to unequivocally have to say that the Indianapolis Colts are the ones who have the best wide receiver room at the time. So that means that Anthony Richardson has the best weapons on the outside. The Houston Texans right now, in my opinion, have a roster full of number 2s and 3s. Honestly, they're depending on like career number 2s, like rookie productions, hoping that John Mechie can actually come back from from his illness. Thank God that he's healthy again, but they're still banking that he could be healthy, and Noah Brown, and you never know what they're gonna get out of a Tank Dell in a rookie season. So they're third on this list. So in conclusion, man, not in conclusion, not the Jeremy Chan slide. In conclusion, man, my thoughts are as follows. The Carolina Panthers have the best offensive line as well as the running back room. The Houston Texans have the best tight end, but the Indianapolis Colts have the best wide receivers, man. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you think that the Indianapolis Colts also have the best running back room because of Jonathan Taylor, I'm not going to argue with you, but these are just my thoughts on the matter, man. So that means that I think Bryce Young and my Carolina Panthers unbiasedly have the best supporting cast moving into this 2023-2024 season. What do you all think about this topic? Please leave your comments down below. I would love to hear what you all think about these 3 teams. Which one of these young players has the best supporting cast? Who do you think is going to have the best rookie year? Whatever you think, whatever your comments are, leave them down below. And with that being said, remember, I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.